Hi there, I'm Jamie, and I hope you're having an awesome time of day. I'm working on a new game called The Battle for Blueberry, a game about slimes. Now, I love slimes, and I do feel like there's more potential for these so-called monsters. For me, these cute little creatures bounce around, stick to things, and at times absorb objects. Or people, just to name a few examples. You can see there's a few things here we have to play around with. So, feel free to sit back and let me share with you what we've done so far. Previously, I was working on a game called The Endless Arc, as per my previous devlog. Currently, that game is on hold, but what started off as a simple arcade-like idea for some randomly generated rooms and bullet hell started growing into this behemoth of a roguelike adventure with exploration and massive story. Yeah, it kinda went too far. But that's called scope creep, a common but very dangerous part of game development. Since then, I've learned how to fight off this demon, and I also have a development team now, so safe to say the demon will be slain. Anyway, there were two things I borrowed from this game. Firstly are the slimes. I absolutely loved their designs and saw potential in what I could do with them. Secondly is the dash system. Though early in development, I did see a lot of use for this as it was one of the more fun systems in the Endless Arc. Certain things like the dash boost, dash cancel, and even a wall bounce idea that wasn't implemented really got me thinking about another game. Celeste. More specifically, the fact that the game focused a lot on the dash system, and there were even more advanced techniques which allowed skilled players to boost their way through levels. Now, with that in mind, let's jump into the fun stuff. So, what kind of game is The Battle for Blueberry? Well, I've narrowed it down as a roguelike, bullet hell platformer. We started off using concepts from the Endless Arc, such as the random generation, bullet hell mechanics, the dash system. My initial idea was a simple roguelike game where you can play as a slime, saving your family and the slime queen from the deadly portal cats. We first started experimenting with some basic enemies and the ability to attack. There's also the boss battle and some simple bullet hell mechanics, since we're planning to have a single boss and a small amount of content playable in the demo itself. This boss, called the Primordial Pouch Potato, hilariously named by a member of my community, will be an immobile tank, so to speak. Think of Gurdy from The Binding of Isaac. Honestly, the fact that there's progress on the bullet hell mechanics, boss attack patterns, and cutscene type effects, not to mention a lot of the basic game mechanics like the movement, camera, room transitions, these are all set up, which means we're well on our way. But here's the thing, aren't we just making a basic roguelike? Sure, you can play as a slime, but what's so special about the game otherwise? So we decided to have a team meeting, discussing these concerns, and we decided to move focus back to something even more important. Our first goal should be to make an MVP, a minimum viable product, a game with the bare bones mechanics. Now this has to be fun, if not, then the problem can be tackled then and there, not miles into development when you made so much stuff and progress that changing one thing could ruin the game, but that's not what we want. Consider a game like Celeste. What is it that really drives the game? Well, it's the movement. This includes Madeline running around, climbing, and the dash. Sure, there are other mechanics that interact with these, but we're focusing on her core mechanics alone. A video by Mark Brown dived deep into why Celeste felt so good to play. This video really helped us decide this direction to make an MVP and focus on the movement mechanics of the slime character, especially since the game is going to have a big focus on platforming. Take games like Enter the Gungeon, which does have some basic platforming involved, or Archvale, which I found that the platforming in this feels and looks pretty good. If there's going to be platforming in a roguelike setting, then a lot of care needs to be taken to make sure that the player has a smooth experience. Of course, Celeste isn't close to being a roguelike, but it's the focus on the movement mechanics and how the levels and progression is built around these mechanics that really interests me. The developers for Celeste talked about how they would make even the most minute of adjustments to make sure that the player would have the smoothest experience. Coyote time, or helping the player reach a platform, little hacks here and there in the code that prevent the player from being punished too harshly. there's nothing like playing a game and you're not able to do what you expected to do with the most important mechanics of the game. Even though there may be some changes in the future based on player feedback, right now we need to make sure that the movement, dashing, wall bouncing, and wall sticking, which is a new mechanic we added, feel as good as possible and decide what is or what isn't necessary. But that's part of the fun when slimes are the playable characters. Honestly, I've learned a lot over the last few years of game development and making pixel art. I feel more in control over the process now that I understand more about scope creep and focusing on what is really important at certain stages of development. I have a long way to go, of course, but it's finally time to release a game into the world and truly kick off my indie game journey, and maybe start up an indie game studio myself. For now though, thank you so much for watching, and feel free to ask or suggest anything in the comments. I'll make sure to reply. I do also have a Patreon if you are interested in supporting the channel, and a big thanks to my first two patrons, Zugai and Angel Melina. Your support means a lot, and I do look forward to sharing more of this process with you. So, in the spirit of my days as a Let's Player, I'll end with this. Believe in yourself, never give up, and I'll see you next time!